consideration. It goes on to make the point that the Labour Act is designed to cure mischief in the past, which entitled workers to sell their annual leave for cash payable by their employers. And so the court says that this forms an obligation where the non-performance, which fundamentally affects another. The court goes on to say that the duration of leave days a worker is entitled to, the period, timing, manner, and circumstance of enjoying the right are matters that are subject to agreement between the worker and his employer. In these circumstances are purely a human relations function handled within an organization, particularly under the collective bargaining agreement and other laws that govern the relationship between the employer and the employer. So it makes the point that the framers of Ghana's constitution could not have intended to create a simple employer-employee relationship between the appointing president and the auditor general, thereby making the president a human resource manager administering the leave schedule of the heads of independent governance institutions.
Okay, I want us to situate that within the case of Daniel Yao Domelevo, because at the time he was the Auditor General running the Ghana Audit Service. And yet we saw the president give that clear directive asking him to proceed on leave. The court has made its decision. But what do they have to say in relation to the order, quote, proceed on leave?
The court says that the presidency, it appears, failed to consider that the Auditor General's office as head of the audit service forms part of the independent constitutional bodies. Hence, the Auditor General cannot be compelled to proceed on leave by any authority, especially where the effect of the directive was to interfere with the performance of his constitutional mandate. The directive of the president requesting the Auditor General to proceed on leave under sections 20 and 31 of the Labour Act, Act 651, violated the functional and institutional independence of the Auditor General. Specifically on that comment about a proceed on leave, the court says that as a policy court, it was mindful of the practice which has developed in the country over the years whenever there was a transition from one government to another to right to direct public service officials to proceed on leave. It says, being a constitutional right, it was not within the contemplation of the framers of the Constitution that leave should be used as a form of punishment to get rid of unwanted workers and public service officials from their position. So we direct that the mantra, quote, proceed on leave, end quote, should from today be a thing of the past in this jurisdiction. The court explains that what should happen going forward is that if you want to sever a relationship with any worker, look at the appointment letter, look at the collective bargaining agreement, look at the conditions of service, look at the regulations and the human resource policy framework manuals, which provide for the severance relationship between the employer and employee, and not to ask the employee to just proceed on leave, after which you constructively proceed to dismiss such an employee.
And this, coming from the apex court of the land, signifies that there's a far-reaching implication. In fact, as some will argue, this is, conventionally becoming law. The fact that this order, quote, proceed on leave, will not apply in similar cases to persons running independent offices as well, correct?
In fact, there are parts of the decision where the court makes reference to other independent institutions. Reference is made to the Electoral Commission, the Commissioners for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, among others. And just to read that part of the judgment, because, the presidency had made the argument that as the appointing authority, the Constitution entitled him to exercise disciplinary control over such employee. This is what the court has to say about that. It says, if we were to adopt this interpretation, it will mean that the president could direct the Chief Justice, the Commissioners of the Electoral Commission, and the Commissioners of Human Rights and Administrative Justice to go on leave at any time, even during critical periods, solely at the president's discretion. How would Ghanaians welcome the news if the president directs the Electoral Commissioner to proceed on an accumulated leave in the twilight of an election? This would disregard the demands and necessities of the given circumstances, as the president holds sole authority over their appointments. Such an outcome, the court says, would be absurd and encroach upon these important institutions' independence. Consequently, the court said that it is imperative that it interprets Article 297A in a manner that respects the functional independence of these offices and preserves their ability to carry out their duties without undue influence.
Joseph Akable, our legal affairs correspondent, helping us to understand the details of this latest Supreme Court ruling. But I want to bring in now lawyer Martin Pebu, who's joining us in this whole conversation. In fact, we'll definitely be hearing from Labour analyst Austin Game on what he makes of this very ruling and how we can apply that going forward. Lawyer Martin Pebu, thank you for your time here on Top Story. Clearly, the president taking an unconstitutional decision, but a lot of water has gone under the bridge, as many would describe it. How do we remedy the situation going forward?
Okay, so remedy going forward. All right. So I think what is, like you said, a lot of water has gone under the bridge. So this judgment serves as a warning, as a hindrance to such further unconstitutional action in future, because they've been very clear. They've compared with other African countries, Kenya and South Africa, and the court has come to one unanimous decision that asking the Auditor General to go on leave is constructive dismissal. You see that's what the court actually said in another part of the judgment, that such a decision amounts to a constructive dismissal, so it should not be countenanced. The court also made it clear that the president was acting as a human resources manager by interfering in the internal affairs of the Auditor General's office, right? Okay. So with this, I think it's very clear. A judgment that says that the president was acting like a human resources manager is certainly one that Ghanaians will not forget. If you look at that statement, the president of the republic is being likened to a person acting as a human resources manager in the internal affairs of the Auditor General's office. We won't forget. So it serves a good purpose. Let's continue the education. Let's continue the debate, and hopefully it won't recur. Because remember, the court also referred to Professor Mills' conduct in 2009 in asking Professor Duyajiman to go on such leave. And so the court said such conduct cannot be countenanced. And so we hope that we've drawn this in a line under it. And so we shouldn't go back to such a. And also, very, very useful, you see in the judgment, they also made references to the 6 other independent constitutional bodies. So you are talking about the Electoral Commission, Lands Commission, National Media Commission, and so on and so forth, right? So they're saying that this decision can be likened to all of them. So this decision actually breathes life into and some protection into the work of the other independent constitutional bodies. And so this is very, very commendable. You could see that, wow, little by little we are making progress. This is not unanimous FC in the derogatory sense, but rather the very positive one. I remember the last I was saying, Justice Dochi was making a reference to that distinction, unanimous FC in a derogatory sense and unanimous FC in a very positive sense, like this one.
I see. And in fact, that's bringing up the question about why successive governments have done this over the years. The point about the blurred lines, the assumption we've been making over the years that, well, if the president is the appointing authority, then certainly he has powers over such individuals. But we'll get into that shortly, Lawyer People. Just keep that on the sidelines for me. Let's also hear from lawyer, of course, Mr. Austin Game, who is a Labour consultant, so understands what's happening here. And when the court says that you have the right to negotiate the terms for your leave and what right and how you can go about enjoying that constitutional or legal right, what exactly is the court saying, particularly for those who have been under the impression that your appointer has the power to direct you to go on leave?
Thank you very much. To be very honest with you, I would have been surprised if the Supreme Court gave a verdict contrary to what they have said. I have virtually said everything they have said in the public space at the time of the controversy. virtually everything. Now, you recall that I formed part of the team. Indeed, I was the chairman of the committee that wrote the law. We generated over 2,000 pages of information arriving at the 175 sections of the law. And clearly, this is an industrial relations practice, not a traditional adversarial legalistic mindset was used in arriving at it. And so it's an applied law, not an interpretable law per se. So if you don't have people with the mindset of learning the processes of ensuring that this law is properly applied as it's intended to achieve, you run into this kind of conflict. Now, let me explain to you. Clearly, all manner of policies and contracts that might be directed whether by a president, by a vice president, or anybody, which will have to be, it must be in conformity with both Article 24 of the 1992 Constitution, which is simply the directive principles of state policy, and also especially Section 31 of the Labour Act. And 31 is very clear. Now, annual leave to be taken by a worker is purely a function of a human resource management practitioner, not just even any head of department, unless you are specifically assigned to undertake such duties because of the character and nature of people management side of any undertaking, any company, if you like. So it was an aberration of what the law intends to achieve when I heard the executive secretary of the president challenging an innocuous suggestion I made that they should never make that mistake by getting Mr. Domelevo out of office on force by force leave. It's completely in error, and they should stop it. They didn't listen to it. I tried to explain in diverse ways. They didn't listen. The long and short of it is that as a process, at the beginning of every year, it's expected that HR practitioners will cause a memo to be sent to all heads of departments to get their workers. And remember, everybody is a worker in this country, including the president himself. And therefore, you will indicate the possible date on which you want to proceed on leave. Then, when it is all brought to the HR, because the work must not be disabled at any point in time, they will have to find ways and means of aligning the dates and the functions throughout the year so that people can easily take their leave without disturbing the processes of work at the workplace. Especially when it comes to, like was rightly said by the Supreme Court, those commissions, including the National Labour Commission, which are purely operating without control and directive of anybody, including the president, should not be made by an outsider. An outsider here means the president, because it's not the HR practitioner of audit service.
Yeah, I get the point.
Can't do that.
I get that point. And in fact, that's also another highlight that we need to pay attention to. Lawyer Martin People, let me also take your thoughts on that. I was indicating earlier, part of the reasons why we see that happening over the years, and not just by the Kufuor administration. In fact, going back to the statement that directed Yao Domelevo to proceed on leave in 2020, points to, first of all, Section 20 of the Labour Act, describing such institutions also as public organizations, and that their workers accordingly will be treated as public officers. Then point 2, in that statement, asking Yao Domelevo to proceed on leave, equally pointed to precedents, as we had it, when, of course, in April of 2009, the Evans Tamils regime equally asked Jimandia to proceed on leave. So a matter of convention and also the arguments by the president that these individuals are public officers.
Yes, so that is why the Supreme Court gave the answer that, look, the fact that you repeat a constitutional breach 1,000 times will not ripen that breach into a legal conduct. So once it's unconstitutional, it will remain unconstitutional even if you continue that practice 1,000 times. And that's poignant because they refer back to the decisions dating from the 80s, where the Supreme Court has consistently been clear that if something is unconstitutional, it doesn't matter how many times you repeat it. So the court was clear that Atamils acted unconstitutionally, and so President Kufuor couldn't rely on the unconstitutional conduct as precedent. And that's good. So that's why we keep saying that, yes, this decision has moved us a notch or two higher in our democracy, because now you see that the president has lost face. He's lost a lot of reputation. He was touted as, he had no equals, A rating, okay, all manner of toutings. And with this one that even Domelevo could read the constitution and tell him that, hey, boss, listen, you're acting unconstitutional, and he wouldn't listen. It's lost a lot of reputation. And so I'm sure future presidents will be very, very careful not to go near such conduct.
And in fact, that's what I want to take your thoughts on about what the president likely may be opening himself up for. Some say this is an unconstitutional act and giving, the grounds for, it may be far-reaching, but for impeachment, for instance, the president is opening himself up for that as well. There are those who go ahead to point out to some remedies that Yao Domelevo could take advantage of. Looking at the dictates of the law, what openings are there?
Yeah, so the argument that he would open himself up for impeachment, you know what? This is Kwete, right? Yeah.
Hello, sir.
I've just not been fortunate. Yeah, I've not been fortunate to have enough time to research this impeachment and how we can deal the case of impeachment, because you see, just going cursorily, following the previous Supreme Court decisions that have found the conduct of sitting presidents to be unconstitutional, I've not heard it in the past. So this one, we need to research it. And each time, this is the second time I'm being asked this question, but look, after the interview, we have so many things to do. This case, I did it pro bono. This is the Domelevo case. I didn't charge money for it. You see, so I've moved on to other things. So sometimes you get caught at the wrong time. Maybe later I'll research it. But right now, look, I was in the middle of something when I was contacted for this interview. So I haven't had time to research this impeachment and beyond, since it came up. So maybe we can research it and then subsequently we can start a public debate on it.
Okay, and that's why I'm grateful that you're spending some time with us. And, congratulations will be in order for securing this very judgment. A landmark case indeed. But, Mr. Game, going forward, how do we reform our institutions to insulate themselves from political directives such as this? The usual framing is proceed on leave. It may come in some other forms. But going forward, how do we institute this directive from the Supreme Court?
Well, it is obvious. The higher institutions of learning must take advantage and change their teaching notes and ensure that people understand the applicability of the various sections of the Labour Act and in tandem with the 1992 Constitution, those relevant things. To be very honest with you, there are several things that are being done that are completely outside the expectations of what the law intends. And except in exceptional circumstances where the worker himself, herself, or the employer may request the worker to, postpone the leave for a short period to be taken within the same year, not another year. It must be with the consent of the worker himself. And not, this one was purely a partisan political approach purely. And I'm happy the Supreme Court didn't fail the nation in this case. I know at least 2, 3 of them who are on the listen that have done this kind of labor thing with them before. So I wasn't surprised they've come out with it so quite clearly. And so we must applaud them and the lawyers like Martin and the rest of them who went to tackle it. I mean, it's quite good.
And to send that signal across the entire realm of the estate, the point is being made that the president should issue a directive clarifying what it is that the Supreme Court has directed to all executive officers, so we're guided going forward. Will that be in order, and probably the president apologizing publicly?
I'm even surprised they have not done it yet, to be honest with you, because error means error. Error that remains error is not a very fine thing. If this were to be another country, he would have, he and his party would have suffered certain setbacks, under this. But Ghana being a very traditional, partisan, parochial kind of nation, that this is what we'll get out of it. But I'm happy at least the Supreme Court have done justice to it. But it's not too late. Administratively, the Chief of Staff should be seen to be doing this by writing and letting the President know that this must go public. And everybody will applaud them if they should do it. Otherwise, it remains dead forever.
And we need to go. Lawyer Kwebu, any final thoughts on this?
Yes, my final thoughts are that, look, this particular decision, the way it's come down, I also joined the calls for the president at least to render an apology for his egregious constitutional breach. Yes, I think that will help so that it will show that with hindsight, here the Secretary to the President, Mr. Bediatu, that they are quite remorseful for their conduct. Because I remember at the time this thing came up, we granted interviews before I went into court. We were on Joy FM. I remember Emefa interviewed me 2 or 3 times on this matter. I was very clear that this is unconstitutional, this is unconstitutional, this is unconstitutional. But hey, this is Ghana. We said the president is A-rated. I mean, there's no lawyer of his caliber. He has no co-equal, and all those things people said. So if now with hindsight, it's turned out that he was, that's wrong, palpably wrong, I think an apology would do. Yeah, he should render one, especially in these times as he's lost the whole nation. You see that the nation is no longer with him. One error too many. The economy, he sunk us into so much trouble. He's not rendered an apology for it. People are dying. People can't buy drugs. People can't pay rent. The president doesn't care. He's not rendered any apology. Maybe he can add this Domelevo case to the economic morass, the economic decline he's thrown us into, and render one composite apology to cover the two, to heal the nation. Then we can start afresh again. We can't have this divided nation. He has to bring us together. This kind of, he's alone on one side, he and his appointees enjoying all the goodies of government while citizens are starving to death, citizens are dying. It can't continue that way. Otherwise, there will be an Arab Spring.
All right. And we'll have to leave it here for the sake of time. But I'm grateful for your time. That's Lawyer Martin Kwebu. And also to you, Austin Game, Labour consultant, for joining the conversation on Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. Further together and blessed to that. Next is Newsnight.
Brother Bernard.
Yes.
Onya, this morning I'm very hungry. Please, let's go and buy gobe. This time, I want her to add small salad, really, small talia, and soft cocoa, specially made for me. Pay, you know how I like to customize my food.
Hey, because of what? You think say you buy Vodafone made for me bundle offers? Star 530 hash is the code to get the best value offers made just for you for as low as 1 Ghana cedi.
Hey, Brother Bernard, so you've been hiding Vodafone made for me bundles from me?
Oh, just dial star 530
hash. Feel special with the Vodafone Made For Me bundle offers. Get unbeatable best value offers from voice, data, or voice plus data bundles made just for you. Dial *530 hash to subscribe to Vodafone Made For Me bundle offers or download my Vodafone app today.
Vodafone, further together.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi, Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
I've got Bellpack and I won't let go.
My name is Nanama McBrown. Many people think I get what I want anytime because I am popular. No, that is not true. It is because me and Kasano, I like the best, and when I find it, I stick to it. I have found Bellpack tea roll, and I'm stuck with it. It is soft but not weak, strong but not hard. It is just perfect. Bellpack tea roll is smooth and gentle on the skin. Same as Bellpack kitchen towel. It cleans in one wipe. You can soak, squeeze, and clean again. One Bellpack kitchen towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bellpack today and experience the perfect paper tissue. Say pocket tissue, table napkins, tea roll, and a kitchen towel. Bellpack is simply the best. Bellpack, just perfect.
To be a Bellpack distributor, call 055-11-44400. Another quality product from Bell Aqua.
Nothing feels so good like Bellpack.
Live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. This is Newsnight. We're also live on myjoyonline.com and a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. In the next 60 minutes, political parties taking part in Tuesday's Asin North parliamentary by-election pledged their commitment to ensuring an incident-free poll.
It will be in our interest to ensure that electoral rules and regulations are allowed to operate tomorrow.
The level of the NDC pledge.
It will be in our interest to ensure that electoral rules and regulations are allowed to operate tomorrow.
The level.
We have details of that and focus on the various parties as they prepare for a fierce political battle with the potential to either increase their parliamentary seats or maintain what they already have.
Temporarily, and a policeman who has a stick in hand is incapacitated in the face of flying bullets.
He says the MPP is trying to scare him. We are not the ones. It is Ghana's law that is scaring him. I am standing here today. That is a lie. He won't go to prison.
We have details of that, and also NDC MPs allege police administration has withdrawn weapons of the police guards, exposing them to danger.
Temporarily, and a policeman who has a stick in hand is incapacitated in the face of flying bullets. And so all MPs, especially minority MPs, are being exposed to greater danger from tonight.
But are these claims true? We have exclusive details from our sources within the police service. Also, victims of the June 3 disaster yet to be compensated 8 years after the incident which killed many and scarred others for life.
There are 69 of the victims who are plaintiffs in the suit that we are prosecuting and seeking to see if in the end we can get some reasonable compensation for them.
We have details of that also in business.
Registrar of Companies says payment of remaining Black Shield customers' funds will depend on securing a liquidation order from the court.
And in sports, my heart is finally at peace. Former Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan says for the first time he feels celebrated by the country after MPs eulogized him in Parliament last week.
There were a lot of disrespect, and sometimes I go on social media and a lot of disrespect, and I felt like I'm one of those guys who put Ghana on the map. Now my heart is at peace, and I really appreciate it.
We have that and more. And then also, La Girls SHS return to winning ways as they thrash 3 schools in the Volta region to qualify for the Nationals.
Olaho, our pride! Olaho, our pride! Olaho, always
Our target is not this. It's the national competition that we are aiming at.
That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. I am Emefa Apawu. You can join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp 055-1111-997. You're watching us live on our social media platforms. Please do well to leave your comments there with the hashtag Newsnight. We start off from Asin North tonight, and political parties taking part in this crucial by-election have pledged their commitment to ensure incident-free polls. Well, leaders of the 3 parties going into the election, NPP, NDC, and the Liberal Party of Ghana, LPG, they met with the Inspector General of Police today, Dr. George Akufu-Dampare, to discuss the security roadmap for the election. Among the decisions taken is the provision of security solely by the police and not political parties' private security. Both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party have pledged their support to the implementation of this particular roadmap. First, listen to the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Fiavikwete.
Very happy with the meeting called at the instance of the IGP and the police. We express a number of, should I call it, reservations. One of those reservations we expressed had to do with whether we are going to have exactly what we had in Kumewu, where every single personnel of the police was identified. Said that we do not have any surprises. We do not have any national security operatives, any vigilantes that are wearing security outfit. We were given an assurance that that will not be the case. That every single person that will appear tomorrow will be wearing what you call, will be properly identified with the name properly woven, not a name tag woven. And that for us is very important. We also sought clarity with regard to the use of what you call cameras or mobile phones in what you call the ballot box. And we were given an assurance that that will be enforced. According to the law, it's not supposed to be there, and that assurance has been given as well. Generally, I would say we at the level of the NDC pledge 100% commitment to ensuring that there will be peace. We actually stated unequivocally that not from our side would there be any instance of anything that will bring violence or lack of cohesion in the place. So that was an assurance we had. We are happy that our friends on the other side also made the same commitment. We hope this will be as genuine as we know ours is. So on the whole, the police gave us 100% assurance that just as we saw in Kumewu, we will see exactly the same level of what you call professionalism on the part of the police for there to be peace, harmony tomorrow, and let the best side win and win fairly. So I would say generally it's been a very good meeting.
Well, we can now hear from the national chairman of the NPP, Stephen Ayesun team, also pledging for his party.
I see no ands, ifs and buts as far as the result of the election tomorrow. We have worked hard, our government has worked hard, and we are going to carry the day.
Your main opponents, the NDC, is pledging their support to ensure that police provide security and it will be incident-free. What about the NPP?
Yeah, I will endorse the same stand put up by the NDC. I think we are even stronger in that terms because we are going to win tomorrow. Therefore, it will be in our interest to ensure that electoral rules and regulations are allowed to operate tomorrow. What's the point in putting sand into your gari? We are going to enjoy it tomorrow.
Well, that's the national chairman of the NPP, Stephen Nayisu's team there. Well, there's a statement from the police. I'll take you live to Asin North now. My colleagues, Richard Kojunyaku and Himing Terrier, are covering all angles for us on the ground. But first, Maxwell Agwagwa joins me in studio with a statement from the police on the post that's just coming in. Maxwell, what does it say?
Well, it says, in addition, at the instance, actually, of the Inspector General of Police, the Police Management Board held a meeting this morning with key stakeholders in the election, including the New Patriotic Party, the National Democratic Congress, the Liberal Party of Ghana, LPG, and the Electoral Commission to enhance the working relationship among all stakeholders towards a peaceful election tomorrow. It continues to say that at the meeting, the security concerns of all the stakeholders were noted and have been factored into the final security strategy for the election. However, we are told that one concern came up for all the stakeholders, and that they want the public to help them address is the circulation of false information on social media. So in this regard, the police is urging the public to be circumspect in their reportage on the election and avoid circulating false information that has the likelihood to occasion a breach of peace, since the police will take the necessary action against anyone found culpable. And then it goes ahead to say that it is urging the people of Asin North constituencies to go about their normal activities freely, including going out to exercise their civic duty of casting their vote.
Okay, so that's the Ghana Police Service. That statement that's just coming in after they met the various political parties. My colleague Ohiming Terrier has been monitoring that particular meeting between the police, the Electoral Commission, and the various political parties and other stakeholders. Well, Ohiming joins us. Ohiming, so we've heard from the NPP and the NDC their commitment to a violent-free poll tomorrow. Was the police also as satisfied? How about the Electoral Commission? Hello, Ohiming.
The police did not comment on the meeting, except to say that all the necessary arrangements, all the necessary security arrangements have been made to ensure violent-free elections tomorrow. A part of the security arrangements that have been outlined will include the deployment of drones to the 99 polling centers here in the Asin North constituency. Besides, police will also detail police officers to all the polling centers, and these officers will not be armed. There's also a call which the IGP insists he's going to institute to ensure that police officers who are serving as security guards for ministers and some government officials will go to the polling centers without being armed. So even if you have arms and you are going to the polling center, you have to disarm yourself before you get to these centers. Beyond this, police are also pushing for political parties to leave the provision of security at the various polling centers to police. They say this shouldn't be the work of the political parties. They should leave security in the hands of the police, because police have adequate men and women to provide security at all the 99 polling centers in the Asin North constituency. And so, Emefa, I would say that all the stakeholders, the Electoral Commission, the political parties, and the police themselves are happy and are satisfied with the arrangements that have been put in place. And from the EC, they say once they've gotten the assurance from the police, then they will go all out without fear in carrying out their mandated duties to the electorates in the Asin North constituency.
Okay, and more importantly also, you got to interact with the Electoral Commission, Dr. Shibo Kweku, amongst others. What indication did you get in terms of preparation now that security arrangement is out of the way for them?
Yes, sir. Emefa, according to Dr. Shibo Kweku, enough arrangements have been put in place to reach out to polling centers that may be hit by a poor weather condition. There are polling centers with poor road networks. He says both pickups and buses and then tricycles have been put on the line. They've been made available to ensure that in situations where they have problem transporting the electoral materials, even in buses, then they will want to use the available means to reach out to all these areas. And so for the Electoral Commission, distribution of electoral materials will begin tonight, and then by early in the morning, they expect that the electoral materials would have gotten to these polling stations to begin the voting process at exactly 7 a.m. Without any further delays. So they are very satisfied with the arrangements that they have put in place and assure the public that come tomorrow, the elections in their same North constituency will start smoothly without any hindrance at all.
Well, Ohiming, let me bring in Richard Kujonyako, also covering other portions of Asin North for us. Richard, you've been with the constituent, and I can tell by the noise in the background, really, you've been checking on the various camps as well. What's the situation? Hello, Richard.
Hi, Emefa.
Okay, so I'm asking, I know that you've been touching base with the constituents of Asin North, also on the various camps. What can you report?
Well, so what I can report is that the political parties involved in this election, they started their deployment already. They are deploying logistics and other resources to the various polling stations, as Ohiming intimated. So 99 polling stations we have in the Asin North constituency. In fact, they are also doing mop-up exercises. So you find MMDCs who are on the ground, and I understand a lot of them, plus the MPs, will be the polling agents in this crucial by-election year. Now, I find myself in the midst of people that were first-time voters in 2020 who voted, and I want to gauge their reaction. What is expected to happen tomorrow? Hello, Faustina. Exciting,
What a baby, Papa Mayo, I send them. Chasopoku, my young police, come on the other Papa Mayo. Your baby and son, you want me to tell you, and the mom, you don't know,
2020 to Abama.
Yes, Abama, your place, they'll buy one boy, baby, and here to have a Chasopoku. That is Chasopoku, that is Chasopoku, the baby, Papa Mayo.
So let me speak with the second person.
Yeah, they are one idea. Full vim near Benina, Ebama Chasopoku. Yeah, boy, I would say your baby Chasopoku and Warini. No, I buy MP. I was saying of the Abela Papa.
2020 now, don't Georgia Chicken.
Media Joe about one boy, I believe you. Mostly Abna, but one may be Yamamu. You left the one of the Java. One who put the crack.
Can you hear who was seriously Georgia Chicken?
And Yanidia, and you know, yes. Madame, me woo yet, and I was so I be. Me woo so I be. Me woo say, the chicken, why be.
Let me speak with this gentleman here. So, what are your expectations tomorrow? Oh, my expectations are that tomorrow, God willing, God will speak. Honorable Justice Person will be vindicated and he will win because this is pure persecution. MPP is persecuting him just because they are afraid of him. The issue is that, yes, on the day of filing, he has not received his certificate of pronunciation, but he received the certificate of pronunciation before 7 December. All right. So there is another gentleman here, but the earlier speakers indicated that in 2020 they voted for George Achikwesin, but now they are really prepared to vote for Charles Opoku. Now they have severed relationship with George Achikwesin, and they will be all out to vote for Charles Opoku.
Well, so that's my colleague Richard Kojonyako, and this is your election headquarters. We have it all covered for you, radio, online, and also on television. And this is your election headquarters. They've been covering that. But let me bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Do we have him on? So yes, I'm told we have Mustafa Gbande. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Gbande. I know you are in Asin North, but we are told that we know that today is not supposed to be a campaigning day. How come we are hearing that you are still, campaigning under the guise of just some door to door? Is that the case? Is that correct?
Good evening, Emefa, and good evening to your cherished listeners. Respectfully, the NDC have halted all campaigns. Yesterday we climaxed it with a football match, with a vigil, and then the tour of the leader of the NDC, Excellency Sogah Mahama. Today, all that we are doing is to deploy our various agents, and we've been deploying them and having series of security meetings, particularly with the police, to streamline our operational modalities for tomorrow. And so there haven't been any campaigns at all. I haven't seen safe from the other camp. The situation here is really calm, and we are all happy.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that both parties, at least together with the LPG, you've all committed to a violent-free poll tomorrow in Asin North. But one concern that I see in the statement from the police is the issue about false information, because today there were a lot of information in the newspapers, what we've seen, at least on social media, amongst others, about both sides saying that one side is deploying armed men, amongst others. How then are we hoping to deal with the issue about false information ahead of tomorrow and during the polls?
Well, that issue came from us, and we raised it at the back of MPP newspapers that have circulated fake news, false information that we are deploying men with arms and all of that. Clearly, it was done by agents of provocation to try and provoke a particular situation for them to take advantage. And clearly that came from our brothers in the MPP. So we raised those issues, but the IGP gave us the assurance that henceforth they were going to make some effort to streamline some of these speculations that will be coming on. And so we believe that basically today's meeting, if we all stand by the commitments that we made, we would have a violence-free election tomorrow.
Well, you are confident that with all the work done so
far... Well,
Emefa,
what is more interesting is that I think at this point, the MPP understands that we will not stand aloof for them to take us for granted, either repeat an inch of what happened in Ayawaso West Wagon. We also understand and know them for who they are. And so all of us are prepared and willing to be disciplined under the circumstances to obey the rules. That is what is very good in this particular by-election. So we are very happy.
Well, let me bring in Henry Nanabuache. He's the national organizer of the MPP. Thankfully, also joins us on the other line. Thank you so much, Nanabuache, for joining us. So I've seen, at least I've heard your national chairman pledging that your party will commit to a violent-free polls. And we heard the general secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande, also reiterating it. But are we sure that we are not just pledging on paper and that what we'll see on the ground tomorrow will be different?
I thank you very much, Emefa. And good evening to your listeners. I think that both parties, out of good faith, pledged our support to the Ghana police in their ability and then also their quest to make sure that we have incident-free, peaceful elections. In my concluding remarks today, on behalf of my party, the New Patriotic Party, I made a point that for all political actors, we came to Asin North, we entered the Asin North enclave, we came to meet Asin North in peace, and we have to conduct our business, go about our campaigns. The elections will be held. We are a major stakeholder. We need to make sure that we have incident-free elections. The elections will be declared. I am very confident that the New Patriotic Party's candidate will emerge victorious. We need to make sure that as a political party, once we came to meet Asin North in peace, we have to exit Asin North in peace. So that is exactly what we pledge today.
So as part of the pledge also, Nanabi, as part of the pledge also, are both parties actually committed to doing away or discarding private security, political party security as we see?
I think that your line is free, if you can.
Can you hear me? I'm asking whether you are leaving policing and security solely to the Ghana Police Service and not political parties' private security. Are you committed to that as well?
But certainly. I mean, I don't see how political parties can step into the provision of state security. I don't think so. Okay. So that is the more reason why we had, a top hierarchy of our party leadership present at this meeting. So fully committed to this. The police is in charge of that, and then we appreciate that. We acknowledge that. So we are going to give them our support in making sure that we have an incident-free election.
Well, at the meeting, we know that the NDC raised concerns about false information, which we've seen also in the police statement. And you've heard the NDC say that most of it may be coming from your end. How are we hoping to deal with that situation if that is the case?
False information.
Mm-hmm.
The only part, or maybe the point where I recall that this was mentioned was when the former national chairman of the NPP, Mr. McMenu, made a comment and then said that the police should also be careful of social media and how people peddle falsehood using the different social media, spectrum. So that is where the IGP also came in and then mentioned that yes, indeed. And in fact, this particular comment was also supported by the other side as well, that sometimes security can be breached because of false information. And the IGP said that, yes, okay, then they are also going to look into it. But however, he is also, asking political parties to also be disciplined and be decorous in our statements and all of that. So that is fine. Yes, and then also another issue mentioned about publication in newspapers. And as my brother mentioned, that they are of the view that it could be some, agents of provocation. Yes, I can agree, but I can also agree to the opposite as well. Okay. It could also be true that, yes, maybe there's a sinister motive within the NDC that the media, uncovered. So, in as much as it could be this act as they are putting it, it could also be true. So all of these must be investigated, or the police must look at it very well.
Okay.
So it's not a case that maybe you would want to say that a media reportage disclosing that there is a motive from the opposition NDC.
Okay.
And then you come up saying that is work of agent of provocation. Then for that matter, we need to sweep it under the carpet. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that is also worth, investigating some of these issues.
Well, I'll allow you both to rest your voices. I can tell that out of all the talking, the noises, it looks like you're losing it. But we're waiting, and I can tell that from all the work that you've done. Mustafa Gbande, would you say that it's Operation Maintain for the NDC? Briefly.
Say that again, Emefa.
I was asking that with all the work that has been done, D-Day is almost here. Operation Maintain for the NDC?
Well, Emefa, I think because of the network, I haven't heard you clearly.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, then, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here on Newsnight. You heard there Henry Nanabuachi and then Mustafa Gbande. Henry Nanabuachi is the national organizer of the NDC. Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC as well. And you've been hearing my colleagues, Ohiming Teria and then also Richard Kojonyako. Ohiming Teria has been interacting with the Electoral Commission. From all indications, all is set for the Asin North by-election preparations underway. You've been hearing from constituents as well of the party. But tonight, NDC MPs say the police administration is exposing members of parliament to danger after they allegedly ordered the withdrawal of weapons of their police bodyguards. Speaking to Joy News, NDC MP for South Dai, Roxanne Nelson Dapamako, alleged that the MP's police guards have had their weapons taken by the police administration, exposing them to danger.
To direct that the policemen who are attached to each member of parliament, whether you are in a sin fosu or not, should surrender your weapon amounts to varying the conditions of service of a member of parliament. And I think that the law does not permit him to do what he has done.
What do you think, motivated him to issue that directive?
If an IGP suddenly found a resource, apart from writing to me to fix his vehicles when they break down in my constituency, apart from asking people to help them to build police stations, furnish them, make donations in terms of logistics, but suddenly finds the resource to conduct health screening and tells the people that he's been sent by the president to do that, he will be motivated by other reasons to expose us to greater danger by taking the weapons away from the people who are supposed to protect us. What it means is that tomorrow, I shudder to anticipate what may happen tomorrow, because for him to tell them that their weapons are withdrawn, it means I'm being protected by a policeman who has a stick in hand.
Well, he also alleges that it appears this directive only applied to police protection of the NDC MPs and that the NPP MPs still had armed police guards.
I saw nearly the 137 my majority MPs.
You saw all of them?
I said I saw nearly all of them yesterday at the Breku Park when they had their rally. Each and every one of them had their security with them. Some now even have double weapons. The majority MPs and their security, some of those securities guarding the majority, some have double weapons. So a bit, I saw police vehicles carrying chairs to MPP campaign center yesterday. We need to interrogate this, but I think that you media men, you're also on the ground. Don't focus on we the politicians only. Focus on things happening on the ground.
Roxanne Nelson Dapamakpo, joining sources within the police administration have denied withdrawing the weapons of the police detail attached to members of parliament. Let's bring in Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante. He's been checking on this for us. Kweku, I know you've been checking on this matter. Let's talk about what your checks have revealed.
Hello, Emefa.
Yes, Kweku. I'm asking what your checks have revealed.
All right, Emefa. So our checks at the police hierarchy indicate that this is indeed something that the police has done. The police have asked the military bodyguards, the police bodyguards of these members of parliament who are having such big guns to return them to base. The police said they are concerned that with almost all MPs moving to Asin North, if MPs, police bodyguards are holding bigger weapons like AK-47 among others, it poses a certain risk to the people of Asin North and the entire election atmosphere. But they insist that it is not accurate, that they've taken all weapons from the police, and that indeed the policemen who are with the MPs in Asin North or everywhere have their pistols and other small set weapons that they use to protect their principals. And so the police also disputing the claim that they've taken only the weapons of the NDC MPs and they've left that of the majority MPs. They say that that is not something that they have done. But what they have done is just a stopgap measure to ensure that the people of Asin North are protected and that the security measures that they put in place for this by-election, nothing of that sort is breached, Emefa.
So this particular directive from your sources within the police service is just a stopgap measure, and after the Asin North by-election, the weapons will be returned to them?
That is the kind of indication that we got. Indeed, I was pressing the source to be able to indicate to me if that is exactly what they are going to do. But they say that this is just a routine measure to ensure that there is not so much bigger guns and AK-47, among other things, packed in Asin. Already, the police have deployed a certain tactical unit to ensure that the electoral process in that constituency is safe and that everything goes as planned. And so they do not want MPs having brought all their police bodyguards to Asin North, then there will be that kind of difficulty to coordinate. MFI, you are aware that almost all 136 NDC MPs are in Asin North. Almost all NDP MPs are also in Asin North. That would have meant that despite the police having deployed a certain tactical unit to be there, it also means that there are about 270 different police who are not necessarily under the police tactical unit in Asin North in terms of the responsibility. So the police thought it wise that such weapons should be brought back to base. They can keep their pistols until this election process is over. When they return to Accra, further discussion will be had on returning those weapons.
Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwekwa Sante, thank you so much for providing those details. Let's do business now. Beverly Broom is here. Always good to see you, Bev.
Good to see you.
What's
too,
in
Emefa.
business, darling?
So, time for business on Newsnight, brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Alliance Live and Ghana Pay. Coming up, Registrar of Companies says payment of remaining Black Shield customers' funds will depend on securing a liquidation order from the court, and value of secured loans for which collateral was registered by banks and specialized deposit taking falls to 5.26 billion cedis in the first quarter of 2022.
Wonderful when everything worth doing is scheduled, hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That's happy moments listening to your baby's heartbeats at the doctor's office, or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Luxurious affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Court is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
Do you know Flamingo Paint has superior properties than any other paint brand on the market? Listen, when you take 1 bucket of Flamingo Paint, it's equal to several buckets of any paint brand on the market. So, Flamingo has superior hiding properties, superior coverage, it means it covers, and superior durability. Flamingo Paint, superior hiding. Flamingo Paint, superior coverage. Flamingo Paint, superior durability. Flamingo Paint, simply superior.
I'm a
dia sambisa na mo. Enti emrantia no mu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodompe mo ma na yakono.
Eye kwabna.
Na mu hwan so na tumi tasmale ma yɛ nyina de.
Eye kojo.
Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodompe mo sense o yusu president eba. Aye den aban ne do braye. Bo si echi na mo ho ban na sem ma na ho de ne.
Sa
ani na kudwo nso yusu president chako. Na eno ne de e ma wo se wo ye kregen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you.
Ey kojo sa.
Yeah. President Eba and President Chako. Afedie. Ya kono natural.
FDIJ atwadi nkato ya tu.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, stress-free. Syntex Tank, reliable. Syntex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough.
Thanks for staying with us. We take the details now. And the Registrar of Companies, Jemima Wari, has revealed that the payments of the remaining funds of Black Shield Fund management customers will be dependent on securing a liquidation order from the court. It follows complaints from customers of the company that the Security and Exchange Commission has failed to pay them despite the government's release of bailout funds. But Madam Wari says the management of Black Shield has been the main stumbling block.
The owners of Black Shield are fighting the official liquidator in court. They do not want to be liquidated. And the bailout package was such that we can only issue out that package to creditors or investors who invested in the fund management companies if only we get the official liquidation order.
You heard the Registrar of Companies, Jemima Wari. Now, the value of secured loans for which collateral was registered by banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions fell to 5.26 billion cedis in the first quarter of this year. That's according to the first quarter report of collateral registration published by the Bank of Ghana. There's more in the following report.
The value of the secured loans in the first quarter of this year was lower than the 6.5 billion cedis recorded in the first quarter of 2022. This indicated a year-on-year decline of 19.23%. Banks accounted for 4.3 billion cedis of total secured loans, representing 25.1% decrease during the same period last year. On the other hand, the specialized deposit-taking institutions recorded a total amount of 924.7 million cedis of secured loans. This represented a share of 17.6% and an increase of 29.8% over the same period in 2022. Meanwhile, the total number of collateral registrations recorded for the first quarter of this year was 46,258, compared to 39,052 registrations in the same quarter of 2022.
That was a Business Desk report. Now, the Institute of Directors Ghana says it is well positioned to respond strategically to the changing dynamics of the corporate landscape in Ghana through increased advocacy and policy reforms. Speaking at the investure of the 18th Institute of Directors Ghana Council Special Awards and Dinner Night, outgone president of the Institute, Roxanne Dobega, urged the new leadership to embark on a nationwide capacity development project while increasing stakeholder engagements to enhance the corporate governance structure landscape of the country.
It has not been an easy journey in the past 4 years, not to mention the major external factors, particularly the COVID-19 outbreak and the lack of adequate resources. However, with the team efforts, we have been able to establish the appropriate national corporate governance architecture and foundation for a good takeoff of the Institute of Directors, which is now comparable to any other professional body in the country and anywhere on the globe.
Meanwhile, the newly sworn-in president of the Institute, Reverend Angela Carmen Appiah, says her outfit will continue to lobby to ensure the directors' bill currently before Parliament is passed by the end of the year. Now, Ghana Rubber Products Limited, as part of its corporate social responsibility, has donated some items to the Osu Children's Home and the Child Health Department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. According to the head of Human Resource and Marketing at the Ghana Rubber Products Limited, Edward Lincoln Addo, the gesture is a way of giving back to society.
This would uplift the expectations and the hearts of the children, and it will put smiling faces across them, because sometimes they are challenged by the items that are used to keep them or develop them or train them. So once the item that they have, be it sufficient or insufficient, has been augmented by these gestures, I'm sure that they will be extremely excited to see these things. And just as we have said previously, the sky should be their limits. They should be motivated by some of these gestures and then realize that they are not here alone. The outer society or the larger society is also with them, and we share their concerns. We associate with the challenges that they face on a daily basis.
Now, before I go, authorities and pupils of the Dorsey Primary School in the Wild West District of the Upper West region are having a sigh of relief following the handing over of a 6-unit classroom with ancillary facilities by Fidelity Bank. The project is part of the bank's Orange Impact Initiative, which seeks to address challenges in access to education. Managing Director of Fidelity Bank, Julian Oponi, says apart from the infrastructure, the bank is doing more to impact lives in communities where it operates.
In addition to the infrastructure, we thought it was important to go the extra mile to ensure sustainability and energy efficiency of the school. So I'm delighted to announce that by now that the school has been equipped with a solar energy system. And these solar panels will harness the power of the sun to provide clean and renewable source of energy, ensuring that the classrooms are lit 24/7. And also where they need other assistance with regards to the sockets and other electricity supply, that will be provided for by the solar energy that has been provided for the school.
Julian Oponi is the Managing Director of Fidelity Bank Ghana PLC, ending business here on Newsnight, brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Alliance Live and Ghana Pay.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Have a good evening, okay? Well, we'll be catching you on TV shortly, and your co-host is also here. Musbao is also here with the latest from the world of sports. Hello, Musbao.
Yeah, hello. Welcome to Beverly. Well, in the world of sports, Samajan is in the news, and the former Black Stars captain says he had felt so disrespected. He never believed the country will celebrate him until he was eulogized on the floor of Parliament last week. MPs took turns to honour Ghana's top scorer and the first player to score in 9 consecutive international tournaments after he announced his retirement. Speaking during a courtesy call on the Majority Chief Whip, Frank Anodompre, the former Sunderland marksman said his heart is finally at peace.
Even me answering this question, I'm being very emotional because since childhood to now, I've never seen Parliament discussing a player. So I feel very, very honored and appreciative. I'd like to thank Parliament. I'd like to thank Honorable Ano for him raising this issue, this topic, and I saw him and the way he was talking, and I felt like he's a big fan. Before I would say no, because there were a lot of disrespect, and sometimes I go on social media and a lot of disrespect, and I felt like I'm one of those guys who put Ghana on the map, and the masses can also confirm. But seeing what went on in Parliament, I'm now beginning to understand. I'm now beginning to feel appreciated by Ghanaians. I don't really care about what people say a lot, but Parliament has confirmed, and I'm sure the masses also know in their heart I should be celebrated. I always say the numbers don't lie. I always say it, and Now, I would say, yeah, people really appreciate what I have done. Now, my heart is at peace and I really appreciate it.
Well, MP for Insawam Adwejiri and Majority Chief Whip Frank Ano Dompre, who made the statement in Parliament, extolled the virtues of Asamoah Gyan and argued that Asamoah Gyan must be studied in schools.
When he was speaking, you could see, you can feel the emotions, that this is somebody who was giving his all to a nation. And then he couldn't have captured it better when he said that his heart was at rest now. I feel we can do more. Whatever we do to him or for him will set the tone and for the future, going into the future, what we should do to our heroes. And as a nation, as the saying goes, a nation that doesn't celebrate its heroes is not worth dying for. I am particularly elated and happy that we set the tone and we got almost the entire house agreeing to what I suggested. We go to other jurisdictions and their heroes, they are studied in schools, model courses are studied along the line of their character. And that was one of the things I was advocating strongly, that if it had been a different regime, if you go to England, the way they celebrate David Beckham, I worked in England for a while, and the way they celebrate David Beckham, you'll be amazed. So I think not just the personality of Asamoah Gyan, but our trait, and now that he says that his heart is at rest, it has implications.
Well, that's MP for Insawam Adwejiri and Majority Chief Whip Frank Ano Dompre there. Well, I'm not sure which subjects he's going to be featured in. Maybe social studies or something. I'm not sure.
Maybe physical education.
Maybe. But indeed, Gyan deserves some, commendations for his contribution to sports. So the Black Meteors will be in action tomorrow against Morocco. And head coach for the side, Ibrahim Tanko, has been speaking, and he says they are poised to get victory because victory will guarantee their qualification to the next stage of the competition. That's it for Sports Emefa, brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco. Pepsodent, every smile
matters. Have a good evening. We'll watch you on TV shortly. That's Musmal with the latest from the world of sport. Now, victims of the June 3 disaster are yet to be compensated 8 years after the incident, which killed many and scarred others for life. Joy News is learning that aside from medical and funeral bills plus other expenses paid by government, no compensation has been paid just yet. We'll hear from their lawyers shortly, but first let's focus on Solomon Akrugu's story, because he suffered severe burns as a child during the June 3 disaster 8 years ago, but now a 20-year-old begging to survive. He says his completely disfigured face has complicated his woes as he's unable to stay outside on a hot day. Here's Maxwell Bogba's report as we continue our Flats of Trauma series.
It is the evening of June 3, 2015. Flat water has displaced fuel from the storage tank underground at a fuel station at Circle. Solomon Akrugu was just 12 years old, sitting in a room nearby. He suffered severe burns on his face. It completely disfigured him. 8 years later, on a Monday morning, I meet Solomon at East Legon doing what he does every day, begging for alms. That is his only means of survival.
I only get food to eat when I go to the traffic light to beg for money. Many people do not give me money there. Some of them sack me when I get closer to their cars. Some of them think I am wearing a mask. A man once told me to go and look for a job and stop wearing the mask. A lot of people tell me that. I am really suffering here. The hardship is real. I am always scared when it starts raining because I am homeless. I always sleep in front of shops because I do not have a place I call my home.
He fears no woman will be attracted to him because of his disfigured face.
I really need the surgery because I am experiencing a lot of stigmatization. People do not want me closer to them because of my disfigured face. That's why I need the surgery. Because that will also help me get a woman to marry later in life. For now, no woman wants me. Even the drivers in cars find it difficult to give me money. Nobody wants me around. When the sun is out and hot and the light hits my face, it's really painful. That's why I need help. I can't touch it because blood will start oozing from my face if I do. So I go and hide in the shade until it's evening.
There are many Solomons out there who are living the trauma of the June 3 floods. Victims of the disaster, including Solomon, are yet to be compensated.
Well, 69 of them are demanding damages of 40 million cedis against a Guel filling station, the National Petroleum Authority, and others for various acts of negligence. We'll be getting to hear from their lawyers on this. So one of their lawyers, Samson Ladianyanini, says the process to get compensation for the victims has been slow.
There have been what we call interlocutory processes in the course, but just very recently we seem to have cleared some of the hurdles. So actually we're in court, this week, and we're hoping to continue to a point where by the end of the legal term this year, we may have seen our way clear to commencement of the trial itself. I can confirm that there are 69 of the victims who are plaintiffs in the suit that we are prosecuting and seeking to see if in the end we can get some reasonable compensation for them, because apart from monies that were paid for funerals and then initial medical bills, some of which was taking, nothing really has happened.
Well, that's one of the lawyers, Samson Ladianyanini there. So in 2019, a 7-member committee was inaugurated by the Minister for the Interior to oversee the disbursement of all monies raised for the victims of the June 3 twin disaster. Well, the special committee, which was known as the Disbursement Committee on June 3, 2015 twin disaster, was also expected to disburse the $200,000 support fund from the Benin government. Well, thankfully, we've been joined on the phone by Chairman of the committee and Deputy Director General of NADMO now, Saji Amedono. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsnight. So can you share with us what exactly has happened since you were able to raise some monies, and we are hearing some of the victims say they are yet to receive anything?
Thank you, Emefa. Good evening. And evening to your cherished listeners too, as well. Yes, I think if I heard the lawyer for the victim clearly, he mentioned exactly what has been done by government. That is to provide support to the affected victims. And the affected victims were categorized into those who had injuries. Those people, their hospital bills were taken care of by government. And those that we lost, unfortunately, their families were also supported. What actually happened was that government did this when the incident happened in 2015. And there was some pledge of support from the government of Benin that is amounting to about $200,000. And it came in somewhere in 2018. So a committee was put together to see to the disbursement of this amount. Now, what we actually did was to try and get the data from what actually transpired. And we managed to get the full data of the victims as to those we lost, to those who had various degrees of injuries, and we did the categorization. There was even one very severe one who was undergoing surgery at the 37 Military Hospital, and we managed to take care of his bills in full. It was quite a high amount. I don't really have my documents in front of me, but what I know is that we have tried as much as possible to cover everybody in terms of government support.
So apart from that $200,000 that came in from the Benin government, are we saying that there was no other money besides that kind of donation that came in?
No, there was quite. That's why I mentioned that money came in 2018. But in 2015, when the incident occurred, they had taken care of quite a lot of people, especially the families of the bereaved, because most of the funerals that happened or the burials that happened, the expenses was covered by government.
So is there any hope in particular, Mr.
Medono? Their bills were paid by government before 2018 when the $200,000 came in.
Okay, so now that we are highlighting the plight of Solomon Akurigo, for instance, if you can hear me, Mr. Medono, is there any hope really for the likes of Solomon Akurigo?
Please, can you take that question?
I am asking about this gentleman that we've been focusing on, Solomon Akurigo. I'm sure there are others out there as well. Is there any hope of a sort for this kind?
Well, his situation has not come to our attention because we dealt with them in a group. They had a group and they were meeting periodically.
Okay.
So when we decided to disburse this support, we worked with the groups, and the group worked closely with us. So this gentleman's situation has not come to our attention. But I'll go through the records later and see whether his name is part of those that have been supported or not.
We're definitely drawing attention to that. We are grateful for your time. This is a matter that we'll continue to look into, and that's it for our Flats of Trauma series, ending tonight's edition of Newsnight. But just before we go, in a triumphant display of intellectual prowess, Ola Girls Senior High School resurges to the forefront, overpowering 3 rival schools in the Volta region qualifiers and securing their spot in the highly anticipated national. So, with a commanding lead of 32 points, Ola SHS Ho leaves Joje, Penyi SHS, Chito SHTS, and Peje SHS trailing behind. Well, listen to them.
Our target is not this. We are is the national competition that we are aiming at. You remember we dropped last year from a seeding, so that is our target, to get seeded. As for the regional, I know we are going to win.
It feels nice.
What should we be expecting from you and your team?
Expect us to get the school seeded and reach semi-finals for the first time this year.
When they reach the beyond the sky, send to us thy merciful eyes. Watch other children, a queen and a mother. We to thy service, our lives are sworn. Take up and speak for us, work with us, speak for us. Queen of apostles, yes, star of them all.
And that's it for Newsnight. What a way to end it as we prepare for our 70th anniversary launch in July. Ola SHS. Watch out for us. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We have That's My Opinion with Nana and Sakwao, the MT.